Well, hi, Ali. Thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
My name is Ali. I'm a senior at UC Berkeley, graduating with a major in astrophysics.
Oh, and what got you into astrophysics?
I think I've always loved space, which it's actually funny because I originally was doing physics and then I saw, oh, look, there's a space major here in Berkeley. So that meshes really well with my interests. And I've been really into it for a long time. So I think it was a really perfect combo for me.
Is there like some early memory that you can tie that interest is starting from? Like maybe seeing some type of astronomical event, like a solar eclipse or a meteor, or maybe a visit to observatory or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. A while back, I did a summer camp where we got to pick like um, a central topic that we wanted to learn about. I chose astrophysics. And the reason why I chose that was because I decided to pick up like a random book about black holes, and that really interested me. So then I decided to learn a little bit more about that, and that kind of furthered more of my interest in it.
Um, but I guess does this interest started like in elementary, middle school, high school, college?
Probably like before middle school, I want to say.
Um, and were some of your peers also interested in space and astronomy as well? Or
I remember my brother and I took it together. So he was pretty interested in it too. He's an econ major right now at USC. But we always would enjoy when we were little, kind of looking at some pictures, looking at just like reading like informally about those kinds of things. So in terms of having peers that were interested in astrophysics, when I got to Berkeley and majored in it, I was able to meet a lot of really cool people that were interested in it and came from different backgrounds and helped me learn about it and learn more about it from them too.
okay, that sounds neat. Were there other things you were interested in that you kind of had to decide between?
Um, I've always been really like interested in writing too. So for me, it was kind of okay. I got astrophysics, which is like it's heavy math and all of that. I got writing, which is a bit more on the qualitative side. But I really liked to do both. I think even still doing like an astrophysics major, you still have to write a lot in terms of discussing like what you're doing, how you're going to communicate it with communicate it to people. So I found that to be a really good kind of marrying of those two interests. But writing, I've always been interested in as well, just kind of being able to like frame like what I want to say in my own narrative and how to communicate it with other people.
Yeah, I I personally find like staring at a blank page very intimidating. I like have all these things I want to say, and I start typing out stuff, and then I read it, and I'm like, that doesn't say anything I meant it to. Um, I, I mean, do you run into that same problem, and you just work on it longer, or have you found some techniques that help you to get your point across?
For me, I just have to start by writing whatever comes to my mind down. I'll look at it and I'll be saying that's so much more info than what I probably should cut it down to. And then I just work from there, seeing, okay, what can I remove? What can I keep? What do I actually want to say? But for me, when I start, I have all these thoughts running into my head and I kind of have to get it all down before I kind of say, okay, this is what I should actually have it say.
That makes sense. Oh, well, I wanted to ask you some of the standard questions I ask in terms of this program and see where it takes us. I guess, first of all, did you know that NASA's planning to send astronauts back to the moon?
That is really, really interesting.
Would you believe most of the people I talk to have no clue?
Interesting.
How about in your world? Do you think the people you associate with know, or you think maybe it's not on their radar?
I feel like it probably is on the radar. But I will say, like, me personally, I don't know the details about the missions nearly as much as probably some other people do. But I think in terms of me and my peers in like our undergraduate astrophysics, we're all kind of like, okay, this is something that's pretty interesting. We'll see how it turns out in the next decade or so.
I've come across sort of like two extremes in terms of reactions to us going to the moon. One extreme is why did we ever stop? And the other one is why are we going back whenever there's so many other things we should be doing? I was kind of wondering where you might fall on the spectrum between those two extremes.
Yeah, for me, when I first like kind of heard that NASA was stopped sending people to the moon, I was kind of like I got it because I've read some of the stories about like dangerous trips and things like that. So I kind of felt that it was okay. It might not be that good of an idea until at least we get more information on how much more safe it can be. But now that it's resuming again, I just hope everything can go smoothly, everything can go according to plan. And if it does, then I think the potential is amazing.
So if somebody came up to you and said, "Why are we sending astronauts to the moon whenever we have, you know, um, poverty or, uh, people don't have fresh water," what would you say?
I would say that I think it's a good opportunity to explore. I know that we do have some problems here that we need to fix. Poverty being, I think, the biggest of them all. Um, my hope is that there's a way to kind of balance between the both of them in that we're focusing on the problems here and also focusing on the problems, or at least focusing on the opportunities that we have in terms of exploring what else is out there. So I feel like if we think about like if there's enough of an effort to kind of weigh the two and balance the two, I don't want to necessarily say that that space is more important than solving poverty. I don't think that is, but in terms of solving the complicated problem of how do we allocate everything so that we're solving both issues at the same time, I think that is something that's interesting and something that we should at least strive to do.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've also heard that like the first trillionaire would probably be somebody that does space mining, which is kind of funny in the context of space and poverty.
Yeah, definitely. And I've also read about how some of these like space tourism seats, for example, they go for a lot of money. And my main question is like, okay, if we're talking about like with the general public and talking about like poverty, for example, how do we kind of make it so that, when we do these space exploration missions, people how can we make so that the people benefiting from them are not just trillionaires, billionaires, but they're also everyday people?
Yeah, and it seems like the easiest way to get there would be just to make it cheaper.
Yeah, but yeah, not everything's. I know like costs. They have been falling a bit, but I know I think there's probably still a long ways to go until it becomes like a commercial sort of thing.
When you think about the future, like if you were to fast forward 200 years, do you think we're still only on the Earth, or do you think we're on the Earth and other planets and moons and big space structures?
I hope we are. I honestly think that yes, just because um, the technology is probably gonna like we probably won't think that it's gonna be there until it's there. Like I didn't think that ChatGPT, AI, and all that would be there until like I was using it and I saw it in my hands. So if we have that kind of time, like that kind of time, then I think that is probably with everything that we're making advances towards. I think it's possible.
Yeah, ChatGPT is interesting. I thought about doing an interview with it for my project at some point, but I might save that until after I get through with 2024. But um, since you brought up ChatGPT, what's the most interestingly positive way that you've used it?
I've used it to kind of get a like if I don't know where to start on something, then I'll kind of say, ChatGPT, help me with this, give me an outline, or kind of like a way that it or kind of like not exactly the end product, but give me like a way to how the end product should look so that I can myself make the steps to get there. Um, So I know there's been a lot of kind of worries about like the ethics of it, how people can use it. But I think as long as it's kind of used not as like a way to skip steps, or it as probably more so just to kind of be like a stepping stone for people to then take action of their own. I think there's no problem with it. But I am curious to see where it's headed in the next few years.
Yeah, it's funny, before the age of like the automobile, I think a lot of people's cardiovascular health may have been better. But now that we're able to drive around and, you know, um, not have to work so hard, uh, I think maybe we're not all getting the exercise that we want. And some people fear the same thing with ChatGPT, but then you consider like TV, which is completely a passive experience. Um, it seems like ChatGPT might be better than, say, TV.
Yeah, and then seeing everything with the Apple Vision Pro too, that's gonna make it. Like I can't believe I've seen articles on like people wearing it during basketball games while driving, and I'm like, okay, this might be taking it a bit too passive, but um, yeah, I think once again it's less about the tech that's being invented, but like how people are using it. So yeah,
Have you ever tried the Apple Vision Pro?
I haven't. No, I don't know if I want to shell out almost $3,000 for $4,000 for it, but um, I am a bit kind of hesitant to do it, just because I already got like an iPhone, for example. I don't know if I want everything to be kind of like an Apple device when I see it.
I wonder if they'll let you try it out at the Apple Store.
I haven't checked actually. I think I definitely want to like try it out for like a few seconds just see what it looks like. Not use it though like as like a personal thing forever, but I definitely want to like see how it at least like looks in person and like how it feels.
It's gonna be so weird. It has like that video on the front that shows your eyes, and I could just see
Yeah,
somebody like takes it off, and you're like, "Oh wow, those aren't your eyes," like because they've never seen the.
yeah. It reminds me a little bit of there was the Google Glass that came out like that tried to like be a thing so long ago and it never happened. And now I'm thinking, oh, okay, so this is probably like the better version of that now.
Hmm. If you could, would you take a trip to space?
I definitely would, yeah. I mean, I would be a bit worried about like I'm trying to keep myself as safe as possible. Um, but like it would definitely be something that would be out of my comfort zone. But I think cross my fingers, everything goes right. It would be an amazing experience.
Would you need a certain number of people to go ahead of you before you felt comfortable, or if somebody offered you a ticket tomorrow, you'd be like, "Okay, let's do it."
Uh, I think I'd take that. I think I would take it right now if someone presented it to me.
And how far would you consider going if you had options?
Mm, I think I don't know. That's a good question. I'd probably say probably the moon is as far as I would go. I don't want to go like too far out there, but yeah, I think just kind of being far enough where you can kind of see like the entire sky, like and see it, the Earth at that angle. That would be surreal.
Do you think you'll get that opportunity in your lifetime?
Knock on wood. I can hope.
Um, well, um, Ali, that's pretty much all my standard questions. I see this as a time capsule for future generations to look on what I think is going to be a historic decade with respect to space travel. You think there's anything else that'd be worth sharing with them?
No, I think that's it. Thank you for interviewing me.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and stop the recording then.